What's up?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much. As I explained to your colleague, my wife and I, upon the death of our last remaining parent, are going to receive a lump sum inheritance of a little over $1 million. And we do have a financial planner who we trust implicitly and have worked with for a number of years, but I would just love to have a kind of a second opinion as to any suggestions y'all might have as to what to do with those funds. We have virtually no debt whatsoever, and anyway, that's kind of a gist of it.
Sure. So this is what we call sudden wealth. All of a sudden, your life is, I'm sorry for your loss, but your life is improved financially. And now what you want to know is what you need to do so you don't look back 5 years from now and say, gee, I wish I would have known, or gee, I shouldn't have done that. And that's what we call a second opinion. So if Bob walked into your office tomorrow or Monday morning, what would you do, Chris?
Well, Bob, the first thing I would want to know, you said you have very little debt, so kudos on that. I would want to understand your situation a little bit better in terms of what is your age? Let me ask you that.
64, 65 next March.
Okay, you're 64 and 65. So you all are knocking on the door of retirement. Have you prepared adequately for your own retirement?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you're in good shape. So this is truly found money, and it's just extra is what I'm hearing. And so the question is, what do you do if all of a sudden you find yourself with an extra $1 million? I mean, I think that's a great problem to have, Bob, one that many of our listeners would love to have. What do you do? I think you put the money to work if you don't need it. However, I would add the caveat, I'm a big fan of these funds came from mom or dad or your family or your wife's family, we're not sure. Nonetheless, doing something to commemorate and to remember them, maybe a special trip, maybe it's a vacation home, I don't know what it is. For you, however, what I would say is I would encourage you to consider doing something like that and then put the rest of the money to work. Or, our topic today is giving, right? And there are lots of worthy and needy charities out there in our community and others who could certainly use some help. So I think that would be another opportunity. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, Chris, go ahead, Bob.
Well, all I would say is I would hope that, my wife and I believe that we are generous and we are strong Christians and take tithing very seriously. So, yes, we've already talked about that we would use a significant percentage of that for various ministries and charities.
Okay, that's a very, very nice gesture. Let me back it up a little bit, and Chris is 100% right. What you want to do is put that money to work. However, what you don't want to do is be more aggressive than you need to be. And conversely, you don't want to be too conservative because you've got 30 years of life expectancy in front of you that we have to worry about, including inflation and taxes. So what we would do as certified financial planners is we would start with a plan.
Well, that's right.
So what's that look like?
Well, what it looks like is understanding what kind of income Bob and his wife are going to need throughout their lifetime. What income sources do they have? Presumably Social Security. Do you have pensions, Bob? And what do your other investments look like? And I think, like Joe said, every family is different, and this is what makes financial planning a personal endeavor. So for your family, do you have children? Is it important to you to leave funds behind to your children? If so, how much? That needs to be part of the calculations that we do. And then looking ultimately at your entire nest egg, once these other, I'll say, expenses or gifts are accounted for, to understand, okay, how much risk do you need to take? And how does that compare to what you're doing now? Because what I found is most people don't want to take any more risk than they have to, but they just normally don't understand what that looks like. What is the rate of return that you need to achieve all your goals, making, some assumptions as well as understanding your situation. So that's what the financial planning process is. That's what we do. We look at, for the next, as Joe said, 30, 32 years. You said 62, I think, or 64. We assume you're going to live to 95 unless you tell me otherwise. And so we look at that and go, okay, 30 years from now, things are going to cost more than they do today. When we look back 30 years and think about what did a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread cost, it's a lot less than it is today. And so we want to be mindful of that. And the other thing we want to be mindful of is healthcare costs, because they're very real. And I know Joe has had the same experience. I have clients that are in those later innings of life, and they're experiencing the increased healthcare costs. So that's something that we also want to account for and be sure that you have taken into consideration.
May I just dial down? And one of my specific questions has been, when we get this lump sum of money, am I correct that banking institutions, is it the FDIC only guarantees up to $200,000?
$250 per account, and there's a way around that. We can help you with that, Bob. I'm sorry you can't hang on, but there's a replay of our program this evening at 7 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, and tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So, or you can call our office. We do offer a second opinion, so we'd be glad to meet with you as well. What we don't want you to do is run off and start making investments, but before you make any kind of investments or decisions, you definitely need to have a plan, and you should be dealing with a certified financial planner who will work with you as a fiduciary, not somebody who's trying to sell you something, and that is the whole key to long-term financial success. But we appreciate your call, and I want to get back. I know you have to hang up, so I won't hold you on anymore.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Bob.